Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. Today is the February Community and Governance meeting. Thanks for everybody that showed up live in the call, and thanks to everybody that is watching the recording over YouTube. As a reminder, we're having this call every month, and we will send over Discord and in this recording also all the links so that you can subscribe to the next ones. Today we have a packed agenda actually, but listening to feedback from all of you, I'd like to go faster on the core presentation side of the house to give more space to everybody that is joining today live for a discussion. There's been quite good engagement lately on the forum, so I would like to keep that alive also when we have the opportunities to meet. So here's the agenda. We're going to start with the classic ecosystem snapshots and roadmap updates. Very quick recap around V4. What 0x DAO today? I think, yeah, that's going to be the core of what I'm going to present to you today. And then we have Gabriele here from RigoBlock. Is going to give us a presentation about what they're working on, and it's been one long timer in terms of 0x community. So pretty excited to hear what he has to tell us today. And then, yeah, classic ecosystem job opportunities and keeping it open for any discussion that you might want to have. So let's kick it off with 0x protocol network insights. Past 30 days, as always, I'm not going to go through all the numbers, but yeah, go to 0xtracker.com. You will find all these insights. Last 30 days, just one number, over 4 billion in traded volume. Huge growth there. As always, green up to the right arrows across the board. And yeah, this looks good for the ecosystem. It's growing healthily. A few news about launches or new milestones for all the teams involved in the 0x ecosystem. We have a few 0x API integrations. We have a Shapeshift, Keeper DAO, they just launched their hidden games. Set protocol are all using in some shape or form 0x API. DeFi Saver reached a record high 435 million in monthly volume. And also Matcha hit in January $2 billion, but I just updated the slide because I just reopened 0x Tracker just yesterday. Matcha hit $3 billion in traded volume since launch. So we are growing parabolically. So it's great to see that, not only on Matcha, but on the other products and in DeFi. Metric.exchange added a transparent trading activity KPI thanks to 0x Tracker. We had an interview from our own Clay on BlockCrunch. You have the links here. And also we had a presentation by Zubin on how open options are using 0x. I think we had Zubin in our January call. Yeah, subscribe to the ecosystem news at the bottom of the slide, and you will be able to keep up to date with all of these new updates in the ecosystem. There's a lot happening every day, so I encourage you to subscribe. So I'm not going to go into the details of all of these charts slide because we have a lot to cover today. But yeah, just the main message is there are a lot of things happening. We tagged with the new little icon the things that happened. There are new road that have been added in the roadmap here. The top 2 items are the 2 ones that have been shipped just in a few weeks back. So it's namely 0x V4 and the aggregation on V4. But we are already going strong with a lot of new updates at the protocol level and also the 0x API and mesh and other things. Also, a quick shout out to Joao, who has started actively working on the instant revamp. I'm sure that once we're going to get closer to launch, a lot of people will be really excited about this. And a quick snapshot for all of you guys that want to keep up to date with the forum discussions. We have 2 items at the top here. I forgot to add the new label to the second one created by Son of Pegasus, and another one, the one that I created over a week ago around token economics. There's a lot of activity going on there. I'm very happy personally to see a lot of you guys jumping and contributing to the discussion. And the team, on behalf of the 0x Labs, we are all very happy to see all of you guys proposing ideas and providing feedback. We want more of that. We need more of that also, as you'll hear soon when we're going to introduce 0x DAO. So yeah, really encourage you guys to keep up to date with the forums and the discussions, and open up any discussion that you would like. Quick recap around 0x V4. As you've seen from our announcement, 0x V4 was voted on a couple of weeks ago. Thanks for everybody that showed up and connected their wallet and used their ZRX to vote. And it was obviously a resounding yes. And you can see that already 0x V4 is showing up on 0x tracker here on the right. So a significant amount of volume is already being floated there. 0x API is going to have a full upgrade to V4 around next week. We have a couple of things to solve first. But yeah, very soon you'll be able to go fully 0x V4 on Matcha and every other 0x API integration. If you recall, just something that I wanted to bring up is related to the bottom part of the slide here. One of the key features of 0x V4 was the ability to upgrade the protocol faster. So we always said, it's a bit of not ideal to wait for another year to have a new upgrade. So let's build an architecture that allows for faster iterations. And here's an example, a concrete example for you. We are actually already bringing in the first updates to the protocol. So we are targeting a governance vote in about a month. So that is going to basically have introduced a couple of features that are going to make RFQ orders even more gas efficient, and also a few features around the RFQ orders like batch fields and perhaps something else. We will see what we can slot into the next upgrade. But yeah, that's something that I wanted to give you a heads up on, because I'm not sure. Perhaps in the next governance call, we will have actually the vote going on live. We will make sure we communicate this over the forum and other channels. Now, moving on to the core part that I wanted to present today, 0x governance and 0x DAO. Like as Amir presented us last week, this year, 2021, is an important year where we want to transition from a situation where 0x Labs is mostly the unique actor pushing the protocol and the decision making of the protocol and funds management while the community engages. We want to move to a model where the community is in the forefront of that decision making, and not only are these decisions discussed or voted on, but actually they are completely in an end-to-end fashion driven by community members. And as we transition to that model, 0x Labs becomes too a community member with their ZRX held in the company. So really, as we make progress on this progressive decentralization of the protocol, very excited to finally get to a point where we can start talking about having on-chain binding governance for core contracts, but also having community treasuries, and pretty much having a development team that is like 0x Labs plus more 0x enthusiasts plus also community-funded external teams. To do that, obviously, we want to evolve our community from a purely engaged one to a more responsible and accountable one. So how do we do that? We will do it by introducing 0x DAO. This is the first iteration of something that is going to take a few months to take to the fully fledged version. But we are planning to launch a on-chain binding governance function that is controlled fully by ZRX holders. So all ZRX holders are equal here, including 0x Labs as a ZRX holder. The decisions are going to be made purely based on ZRX holding voting power. The first governance, reach that this system is going to basically cover is a treasury. So we will start from a treasury that is easier to confine as an experiment, let's say. And yeah, then we'll progressively learn and adjust it to make it expand this system to govern fully protocol parameters and eventually arbitrary protocol updates. So we're going to start from here, and this is what we're going to present today. But the system overall should work pretty much in the same way. We haven't settled on the size of the community treasury. We are thinking something around $1 million worth of ZRX or more. We are basically finalizing the proposal as we speak. I'll go through the process. I think you guys might have a lot of questions around this, but bear with me for a second. The process, like how does this look for ZRX, for the ZRX community? So the first step in the decision-making process around treasury is the discussions that could happen here, could happen on the forum, could happen on Discord. Pretty much anyone can, discuss, propose ideas, and they can gain consensus around these ideas. And specifically, what we want to start on is gaining consensus on opportunities to employ, to use funds to create positive outcomes for ZeroX. And this is an action that ZeroX Labs has been doing on its own in a way since the start of the project. But we want the community to be in full control of that. And examples of these activities that ZeroX Labs ran are grants, marketing activities. Concrete examples are ZeroX Tracker was and is funded through a treasury. Market makers incentives were basically put together utilizing funds. Obviously, events like Zero Expo, or like other marketing activities, Gitcoin bounties that you've seen in the last few months. All of these are examples of things that can be done for the community utilizing money, pretty much, and a treasury. Now, that's the very first step in the process for the decision making, and is actually perhaps the most difficult one. And that's why what I want to pass as a message is, as we approach this new era with ZeroX DAO, we really need a good intentioned participation by all of you, and especially having a public discourse around these decisions. And they're, as far as we are concerned, are pretty much prerequisite for a good governance system to work. It's not really about the technical aspects of the governance system. It's more about who is part, the people and the organization that are behind that governance system. So that's step 0 almost, but step 1 here. Step 2, this is a flowchart that explains how the system actually works into the details. Once an opportunity is basically surfaced, anybody really can propose a vote in the system. There's no need to, ping a Brent or Theo or someone. No, this is like completely decentralized. You can go and, create a vote. The only check that is done is on a minimum voting power threshold. And once that is met, the proposal is staged for vote, let's say. So the system is actually synced to the staking system, the current staking system. So the steps are, before there's a public discussion that I discussed. Once on epoch I, somebody creates a proposal, and that's an on-chain discussion. It will go live on epoch I+2. We can spend more time discussing this, but this is made with the objective of not having potentially malicious proposals being created at the very end of an epoch and going live immediately after when the voting power is locked. In fact, step 2 is once the voting is live, it's like the voting power stays constant throughout the epoch, and 1 ZRX 1 vote plus the delegation aspect of staking that you guys know about. Once you stake with a staking pool, or you can delegate to somebody else, you can give away 50% of your vote. But that is locked during the execution of the vote, which is linked to a staking epoch. Finally, here is the classic way of voting. It's going to be integrated in ZRX portal. So the experience is going to be very similar. You just show up on ZRX portal, you will see a proposal, and you will vote for or against. And finally, as you can imagine, once the outcome is clear, the proposal can be executed. They need to meet a certain quorum threshold, which is another parameter that we are deciding. By the way, we took this process inspired by Compound governance system. It's not using their contracts. We built our own, but it's working in a very similar way, but making it synced to our staking system. Related to this point, we've seen this model working pretty well with Uniswap and Compound. We are looking at those two examples there as almost positive and promising examples of communities that are functioning fairly well. Compound has executed more than 30 proposals so far. Uniswap only executed one. But the interesting thing about this, the proposal about on Uniswap governance is the fact that they introduced a committee for grants review, and is actually compensated and is able to manage a budget. So that's an example of things that can be done with this system. And we're excited to see what the community will come up with. Yeah, we're to conclude in a way this very fast presentation. We are really going, if you want, on an uncharted territory. Actually, let me go back for a second. Yeah, we're going into an uncharted territory to a certain point. Like we're really have a bold vision of decentralizing the protocol, but yeah, we're excited to see what the community comes up. And I want to stress again the fact that ZRX Lab will have, as a company, a hands-off approach, where I see more of the company employees being ZRX holders, being more active in this. So really, if you want, equalizing a way that we govern the protocol in let's say, in our capacity of being ZRX holders. So we would be all equal here. I think it's pretty exciting. Last point, this is pretty important actually. As we work towards equalizing voting power and decision-making on the treasury to start, we propose as ZRX Labs to delegate additional voting power to a group of roughly 5 individuals, could be more, could be less, depending on what we come up with, in order to reduce voting power concentration. Today, in fact, voting power is highly concentrated on staking pools, which was actually the intention of the staking system. However, it might feel a little bit not ideal to pretty much introduce a treasury that certain actors have unilateral control on. So we propose of giving additional voting power in form of delegation to certain individuals here that would be basically signing up for running a certain set of activities that are listed here. We call them bootstrap delegates. Example of activities would be hanging out on the Discord channels, watching actively the ZRX forum, really being part of that discussion. And most importantly, taking those discussions and transforming them into actual proposals. So that would be the most important, obviously, activity by bootstrap delegates. And once these proposals are going live, we expect bootstrap delegates to actively champion their own positions, not necessarily vis-a-vis their proposals, but also by others. So we really expect an healthy and opinionated discussion, especially when proposals are live. And also participate in other communities, seeing how things are running on other governance systems, and bringing the best practices back to ZRX DAO. Quick call to action here. We are really preparing the first proposal of these 5 individuals or teams as we speak. So for those that are either live here or that are watching the recording, if you're interested in being part of this team, please ping Nikita, Brent, or me on Discord, and we will discuss about this and see what we can do. Most likely before finalizing this list, we will share it in the forum, and we will see, whether we reach consensus to get started on. I want to maybe clarify that this is voting power. This is not sending ZRX funds to people. This is really a delegation that goes through the system, so can be adjusted over time. In terms of go-to-market, we're thinking about Q2 for launch of this ZRX DAO Beta, if you want, so control of the treasury. And to recap, we think that this is perhaps the most important milestone. It's more of a technical milestone, but it's a milestone for ZRX's progressive decentralization. It's a veritable catalyst for a responsible and accountable community. So it's really, the time has come when we need to start really maturing as a community, and we need to also be responsibilized and make decisions for the protocol. It's a bold vision, as we knew from the start. We're moving to an uncharted territory. We're really on the bleeding edge of experimentation here on public blockchains, and how groups of people coordinate. But I believe we have all great and good intentions, and with this system we will also have a safe guardrails to start with and learn and iterate on. I have concluded my presentation, and it's been 30 minutes already. I believe we have maybe many questions here, but we have a guest today and it's already 11 p.m. for Gabriele. So I would like to pass the presentation to him so he can bring us up to speed with RigoBlock, and we leave after the presentation, space for everybody anyone to ask questions.
Hi Theo. Hello everyone from the community. My name is Gabriele. I'm the founder of RigoBlock. It's a project that has roots back into 2016, and I would define it as belonging to the broader ZeroX ecosystem. If we think of ZeroX as the protocol, then we have the core ecosystem of relayers and liquidity sources, and then we have like the broader circle, which is the liquidity providers. And RigoBlock as a protocol for decentralized asset management allocates part of its access to providing liquidity to the ZeroX ecosystem. There's many pools in the RigoBlock ecosystem. The Pure Alpha is the biggest pool, and it's been the core liquidity provider. Here we are on the RigoBlock interface, where you have a visual ability to interact with the protocol. And on ZeroX, this has resulted, of course, in liquidity that has generated over 9,000 trades from the beginning. The Rigo ZeroX staker is actually the pool number 2, so was the second pool created on the ZeroX staking system, and it's generated in total over $11 million worth of volume. And if we see the stats just on it's been growing pretty much regularly over the last few months. We've had a record month in January with over $2 million and over 300 trades executed through the RigoBlock liquidity. So I would say that if someone is pulling liquidity from ZeroX, chances are that that at least in one trade, the trader has met with our liquidity in some ways. Just very quickly, RigoBlock was also one of probably the first protocol to protocol external application bridge with the now diversified team. Back in the day was Efinex Trustless. And I think I want to just conclude with showing the how a trader that is using 0x to execute trades, so not providing liquidity programmatically to the 0x trader, can perform atomic swaps natively from the by pulling liquidity to the Uniswap ecosystem. And basically, I'm not gonna show the actual transaction for obvious reasons. That is the extremely high cost of transactions on Ethereum mainnet right now. But basically, anybody who wants to create a publicly provable track record can use RigoBlock and use PulliSwap, an application that we created for just same user experience as Uniswap, sending a transaction immediately on Uniswap. So I think that's pretty much it.
This is interesting, Gabriele. I'm not sure I understand what PulliSwap does. Maybe it's just me, but I saw that there was something that you copy pasted. I'm wondering what is actually going on.
Basically, PulliSwap is a modified version of Uniswap that allows to trade natively for a RigoBlock pool by using the Uniswap liquidity, and also to become either swap or provide liquidity. So basically, it's built as a fork of the Uniswap interface, and but instead of sending the transaction for the single wallet, for the MetaMask, for example, for the MetaMask wallet that is sending a transaction, the transaction is routed to the RigoBlock protocol. And so here, when I input the address, it's the address of the actually RigoBlock pool. So here you see your Drago, RigoBlock Drago address. You plug in you just paste the address of the RigoBlock pool that you are operating. And so if someone manages, is operating multiple pools, then it's just a copy paste, and can execute the transaction just with this exact same user experience that the trader would have on Uniswap. But the difference is that the atomic swap doesn't happen within the MetaMask wallet, but instead it happens within the RigoBlock pool smart contract. So each RigoBlock pool, is a smart contract with custom-built logic, standardized by the protocol. That has a few advantages over a single account, a single Ethereum wallet. That is, for example, for trading on, for swapping a token for another token, or ETH for another token, or vice versa. It's not necessary for the trader to set the allowance with a separate transaction, because the protocol takes care of actually sending the approval transaction and the swap transaction in just one transaction. And also, one of the very positive things in my mind is that at the end of each transaction, each allowance gets set back to 0, so that there's no exposure to a specific smart contract system like an external decentralized exchange which is connected to the protocol after the transaction. This is, of course, for pooling the liquidity for taker orders. For maker orders, we use a feature called self-custody, so that the users can use traditional wallets and integrate with the existing. For example, in the case of the 0x ecosystem, anybody can use the traditional 0x tools or the tools provided by the 0x ecosystem projects, like, for example, Hummingbot, which is an open source market making bot, and Bamboo Relay, which is one of the relayers that we've been most active on since the beginning.
Nice. I think Ryan had a question here, was asking, PuliSwap, does PuliSwap let you track the portfolio manager's performance?
So basically, what we do is we have a system of publicly provable track records. So PuliSwap by itself, it allows you to swap from one token to another. Of course, the best third-party independent provider for your portfolio position is Etherscan. I mean, it's the simplest way you can check in real time with an independent party all your tokens. And what we do is we don't actually. So the RigoBlock protocol is built on the assumption that the trader declares the value of the portfolio with a bid and an offer price that is always executable by holders. And in this context, the reward of the pool operator is slashed by, it's actually proportional to how much of the performance and the assets is provable. So that's why we call it a system for publicly provable track record, so that a trader can have both the tokens natively in the protocol and in self-custody, but at the end of the day, only what is actually provable is accounted for within its performance. So you always have visually the bid and offer for a particular pool, and the spread is adjustable based on volatility, so that someone who wants to actually buy into a pool, so buy into an active strategy, can always see where the bid and offer are placed, so how wide it is. It's the pool operator that says that. So it's decentralized in this way. That it's not relying on RigoBlock as the core protocol to provide the evaluation of the pool itself, but the reward is slashed by how much of that value is not actually publicly provable. So how much is not within the pool itself.
Ryan, I'm not sure if you listen to the answer in case you have questions. And in case anybody has other questions for Gabriele, now it's the time. Gabriele, did you want to present anything else, or? Well,
I mean, it's I would the Ethereum cost for setting up a RigoBlock pool is not huge. It's comparable to a balancer pool or to a Uniswap pool. So I would suggest for people to try it. We have a staking system, so that actually the reward is not only slashed by how much it's provable, but the stake that is allocated to the pool also is a balancer itself, just like it is in the 0x ecosystem. And we have this a figure, an agent figure that we called a staking pal. It's whoever registers a pool for someone else, and basically then the staking pal is entitled to a trailer fee, like a 10% of the rewards of the pool operator, so that it allows for creating like completely independent, self-independent structures of asset management companies and people. So if someone is a trader, or if someone is interested in actually helping out friends to like run strategies together, bundle them together for having a track record and trading on 0x, on top of it being a good way for building a track record over time, it's actually, we're already operating on 0x, so we can give support to anybody who actually wants to provide liquidity programmatically to 0x through RigoBlock.
Cool. And people can find the RigoBlock on, I guess we forgot to put the link. Maybe it's on the slide, actually. If you click on the slide, it will send you there. But are there any specific resources you felt like sharing? Like the main website is fine, or?
Yeah, the main website is fine. I think everything is linked from there. It's rigoblock.com.
All right. So we have 15 minutes left. Thank you, Gabriele.
Thank you.
I'll get the presentation back. And yeah, I'd like to use the rest of the time to discuss what I presented very fast, admittedly, around 0x DAO. So I don't know if anyone has specific questions. We have Amir and Greg here from 0x Labs. I'm not sure if they want to integrate anything. Maybe I skipped things. Or do you want me to go over other things? Yeah. Session is open.
Theo, I have a quick question. So, what you were saying that, you encourage the community to have best intentions as they, as we move through this and voting powers is turned over to the community. I think what might help is some kind of first principles or principles upon which the 0x Lab team suggests the community abides by, right? Because I think that, having best intentions can be a bit subjective. And if there's things that you'd want us to consider, especially early on, it could help anchor some of those early decisions as a community starts to evolve and take on its own identity. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you're suggesting to write not really a manifesto, but some sort of that almost. What?
Yeah, or it could just be open discussion on the forum. But I'm sure that 0x Labs has talked for years about this, and some of the community members might be thinking about this for the first time over the course of days before responding. So I think without anchoring the conversation too much, it could be helpful to hear the team's thoughts, and then maybe we spend a month before this goes live debating over the forum. And coming to some sort of clarity or alignment between the two groups rather than just a cold open.
That's a good point. We also, I'm sure Amir can maybe expand on this, but we also don't want to be the bearer of the whole truth. So we also encourage other point of views in general. So this is why I maybe purposely use the hands-off approach to provoke a little bit the group here. Obviously, as I mentioned, we will be there as ZRX token holders, as individuals actually, and members of the team, maybe more prominently. But yeah, we're also interested to know what other token holders think and would like to do. Well, but yeah, taking your suggestion, I think what I would do personally is to really bring up examples of how funds were used in the past. The prime example was setting up 0x Labs, obviously, but other examples are how we use the community-driven funds, if you want, or like a purpose to drive community and the best outcomes for 0x. Here I mentioned a few of them. Craig from Xerox Tracker was also given bounties to, for example, build a product. That's a positive outcome for the community because it gives a home for everybody to track how Xerox growth is going. That's one example. Other things could be even marketing activities. The underlying assumption is that this has a positive outcome for the ecosystem. Bounties around the ZRX portal and all the work that needs to be done there to improve it. Those are like all examples. But yeah, they can be distilled in first principles, perhaps, to make it a little bit clearer.
Yeah, I'm happy to suggest ideas. I definitely have a lot. I'm a little bit hesitant to like propose our own framework for this, just because I'd like to see it be a bit more organic and kind of take a life of its own. I think like it's totally reasonable to have a framework. I just don't want Xerox Labs to be the one to propose it. I actually think, yeah, you did a really good job kicking off this conversation on the forum already and have a really good post about it, or at least on the token value framework, which, yeah, hopefully more people can jump into that discussion as well. Also, like, I think that, assuming the DAO works, like, you can really do anything with it. It has control over funds, but the actions that it can take with those funds are arbitrary. Like for example, if people want to yield farm with the DAO treasury, they could do that. But yeah, I don't see it as a huge issue if it has a bit of a cold start, just because, for example, it could fund the community to make a framework for thinking about future governance decisions or something along those lines. That's actually what happened with Uniswap, right? Like someone proposed a framework for managing a portion of the ecosystem funds, and then there's this from my understanding, there's kind of this side, more active, more nimble, multi-sig, which can control a portion of the treasury. Yeah, so it was a kind of long-winded response, but hopefully it was helpful.
Yeah, what do you think, son of Pegasus?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. What I worry about is, the initial proposals coming through that are opposed to some of the work that Xerox Labs has spent years laying out, right? So I think of something like a token burn, right? There's some projects where some of the first proposals of community DAOs are token burns, right? That's something that flies in the face of driving down prices and taking the long-term view. So it's not necessarily that I think that Xerox Labs should come through and say, here's the framework, right? But I think maybe the conversation, and maybe myself or someone else on the forum starts that conversation. Yeah. But having a healthy conversation about it early on, I think can only help, right? It's not something that I'm necessarily concerned about. Just trying to make it as good as possible, when it does kick off.
I agree. Maybe what we can do, or you can do, is create a forum post about this where we start earlier on.
Yeah, I gotta say, when starting 0x, actually one of the first things we did was deciding on company values that we wanted to have, and I actually think it was super valuable to do that, and yeah, it could be interesting to establish some values for the DAO early on, even if it's not some super rigid framework.
Totally, very important. I'm thinking also what you mentioned. Around perhaps the first proposals not being maybe super aligned with what Xerox Labs' values are, maybe. A little technical detail, there's going to be a threshold for proposing votes. We haven't settled on that yet, but yeah, it's here in the process. So anybody can propose a vote, as I said, but the system checks that they have enough voting power. That threshold, the aim of that threshold is exactly to make sure that the proposal not only is well thought of, but also, there's some capital to be put up front or collected through delegation before being able to actually have a vote about that topic. And this is why the figure of the bootstrap delegates we mentioned is useful, because these bootstrap delegates that we mentioned that will be there to make sure to take these discussions and make them become actual votes. These individuals or teams will have enough voting power to create a proposal. That's one way of, if you want, filtering potential not bad. There's no morality here, but like outside of the realm of our shared values.
Yeah, no, that's helpful. And then, another question I have, and you might have mentioned this and I missed it, so I apologize if that's the case. Is there a way when someone proposes, a vote to get the community snap reaction before it goes to an official vote, right? I know like, Urine has like a snapshot, right? So you can get like a 48-hour snapshot of how the community's feeling about things. Is that something that the team's thought about proposing, or that's in the plans?
I mean, at the smart contract level, obviously there's nothing preventing people from just making proposals. But yeah, I would hope there's at least some public discourse about proposals on the forums in advance. I also like the idea of a snapshot. I think we would need to build some sort of adapter for snapshot because part of voting power does come from the staking system as well. But yeah, I would be down to fund that if someone wanted to build it. I guess our current voting system actually is somewhat similar to Snapshot. So maybe we can just kind of use both or something like that. Have like a poll vote plus the executive votes. I think Maker has a similar concept.
Another way of implementing this, I think the interesting thing is that we would, the question is how can we have a temperature check type of a place where this can be assessed? And we have different ways of implementing it. Yeah, Snapshot is one of them. There's also, the forum comes with polling. I know it's not super fully fledged, but there's a way to assess whether people are for or against something. I think it's pretty lightweight. It could work, but
yeah, I think that's fine if it's already there.
Yeah, that's just to have something that it depends if we want to. Yeah, it depends on what people want. I think to get a general sense, we might. Yeah, I don't know. I would personally try that polling functionality on the forum first, then see. But for example, doing a snapshot could be proposed in this process, right? The community or someone could decide to propose a vote to pay a developer. I'm just obviously something in ZRX tokens to create an adapter for snapshot. And the community will vote yes or no. Yeah, that's a concrete example on how to use these funds.
There's a question in the chat from Ancient Scion about whales in DeFi. I'm not sure what the exact question is.
I think I watched it. Fulvia basically was asked the now given gas prices and also looking at even when gas prices are not super high, to be honest, when you look at the transactions distributions by addresses, you notice that there are a lot of whales in a way operating in DeFi. So if we put side by side governance and this fact, you might end up thinking or concluding the fact that even an open governance is not really that open because it's in the hands of whales. And that was the question.
Well, yeah, that's a good question. I think probably every single governance system is struggling with that to some degree. I think the bootstrap delegates do help a bit. Compound has been very successful with that, where I believe there are a lot of early community members, contributors, integrators who have like very significant voting power. Even compared to like some of the largest holders of comp. So I think that's probably how to create a more level playing field early on. But yeah, aside from that, I think there will be opportunities down the line to kind of decentralize things further. For example, I mentioned Uniswap has this kind of side multi-sig that manages a portion of the treasury. The people on that multi-sig don't necessarily need to be like Uniswap whales, right? Like maybe they're just super active community members and they're able to contribute to governance in ways like outside of direct voting. And then I guess finally, in our current system, at least, you're delegating voting power to market makers and actually earning rewards to do so. So like, even if you're not the largest whale, you could still be reaping some benefits from like indirectly contributing to governance.
I think we hit the hour. I'm happy to stick around if people have more questions.
I just want to say before we break, really quickly, I know that 0x Labs has done a lot of work on this, and I think it's really exciting. And I think I speak for a lot of people, hanging out in Discord and hanging out on Reddit and talking about 0x. Everyone's very excited for this. So I would just like to say thank you for the effort that you've put in to help build this for the community.
Thanks, appreciate that. Now we need now the hard work starts now for everybody. But it's good. But I mean, again, I think what we're doing is something that personally attracted me to the space. Also, the fact that we have the ability to create these communities. Yeah, as I said on a slide, it's pretty much uncharted territory, but it's very exciting. I think, this is a technical milestone really that provides guardrails where to see whether this can happen or not. And looking forward to seeing where we go. And also thank you, Son of Pegasus, and everybody else that is active on Discord mostly, but also on forums. We really appreciate that. We know it takes effort, and but we saw a positive growth in the last few weeks, and we hope to see more of that. And please consider yourselves really part of this. What Nikita is doing, for example, is exceptional. They've been helping a lot on figuring out a lot of questions from the community. When, for example, members of the 0x Labs team don't have maybe either time or there's a weekend or something. Step up and take that role. Anybody that has, energy, willingness, competence. It will take a village. So thanks in advance.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, thank you to everyone who's, especially people who've been active really lately. I can tell just like reading through all the responses on the forum that people put a lot of time and thought into some of these posts. I mean, I think it probably took me like an hour just to really comb through one of these threads and understand all of the different responses. I know people have been more active on Twitter lately as well. I know Daniel had a really great thread, said it took him 20 hours to write. Just huge thank you to everyone who is investing their time into all of this.
It's an interesting question by Yaoying. I think that was mostly not really a joke, but yeah. I think they're referring to a screenshot from a tweet from the Matcha account where we put buy Cybertrunk with BTC or something like this. So yeah, Amir, I don't know. I mean, if you want to say something, but the thesis that we had early on, that Amir and Will had early on, is a vision where value will be tokenized, will have a tokenized form. And 0x was born to make sure that this value could be exchanged without intermediaries. So in a way, this fits your question and that half joke fits that vision. Like once you'll be able to have a contract of purchase of a Cypher trunk tokenized, yes, you'll be able to buy it on Matcha. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, if Elon is willing to provide liquidity for it, then we'll offer it.
Yeah.
How about that? All right, thank you, everyone. I have to run. I'm late to another thing, but yeah, if you want to continue the conversation.
I'll stick around, but just I want to make sure I go over the last few slides for those that are watching the recording. Especially, we have a lot of opportunities in the ecosystem, not only limited to ZRX Labs. So if you know any amazing engineer, product manager, just skimming through the slide, data engineer, etc. A lot of great teams are hiring. So, and especially if you're interested in jumping on the crypto world, this is a good opportunity, good timing. And also, if you have questions around how can I help the project, there are some resources with all the links to get started on. You don't need to be a developer. You can help in many other ways. So thanks in advance, and see you next month. And yeah, thanks for joining today.